Hi，大家好，欢迎来到 Smart Mandarin 365. Welcome to your very first chapter of your A1 Mandarin course, and congrats on getting started in your Mandarin journey. In this first chapter of Unit 0, we're going to get into the Chinese Pinyin system, learn some simple words, and start building a feel for Mandarin pronunciation and the phonetics. Now, one thing I really want you to keep in mind is that this course is designed for the long run. When you're learning Mandarin, especially in the beginning, it's really important to build a solid foundation. Now, there's a Chinese saying, 基础不牢，地动山摇. Basically, it means if your foundation isn't solid, everything built on top of it is going to be shaky or it's going to topple. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here. We want to build a strong pronunciation foundation that you can keep building on as you move on through A1, B1, B2, and beyond. So by the end of this chapter, you should be able to recognize basic pinyin and start reading your very first Chinese words. So in this chart, we got the 31 basic sounds we're going to work with. Right. So 21 initials in black and 10 simple finals in red. And don't worry, we're going to keep coming back to pronunciation throughout the course and fine-tune it as we go. So the subtitle of this unit is Feeling Pinyin. And I really want you to keep that idea in mind. For now, don't get too caught up in exactly how, where your tongue is, exactly how your lips are shaped, or exactly how wide you're opening your mouth for every single sound. So get out of your head a little, listen to the sound, feel it, repeat it, and let your body learn along with your brain, right? What I really want you to focus on is feeling the sounds, repeating them, and gradually getting the pronunciation right. All right, let's jump into the 10 simple finals of Mandarin, and these are some of the most important sounds in the entire Mandarin sound system. So I really want you to pay attention here. If you get these simple finals right from the beginning, it's going to make everything else in Mandarin pronunciation a whole lot easier later on. So we're going to go through these sounds with the super simple words you can see here on the left. So the first simple final is ah, as in the word 沙发, 沙发. Repeat with me. 沙发, which means sofa, right? So again, this is an open mouth sound. So make sure you open your mouth. 第二个 number 2, the second simple final. As in 婆婆, which means granny, grandma, or mother-in-law, right? And this is also an open mouth sound. So if you can feel the difference between English and Chinese and the Mandarin, Mandarin is actually more tense and focused, right? You especially want to keep that first tone, so the kind of pitch, you want to sustain the pitch. As in English, it's gonna sound more relaxed. For example, in the word in it's gonna sound like as in father, right? In Chinese, it's gonna sound Make sure you maintain the kind of pitch. Repeat with me. 婆婆. 第三个 number 3, the third simple final is as in 可乐, which means Coke or Coca-Cola. 可乐 可乐. And this is also an open mouth sound. 第四个 the fourth one is 一 E as in 笔记 笔记 Again, different from the first three sounds, R, O, this is an even teeth mouth. So you want to keep your teeth together. E, 笔记 as in notes, right? Taking notes, 笔记。第五个 the fifth one is 乌 as in 出入 access 出入 This is a closed mouth sound, so make sure you close your mouth. And the sixth one, 第六个 语句 Again, this is a little hard for beginners, but what you want to do to get this sound, you can try the yi sound and round your lips, right? So, So when you round your lips for yi, you get the yu sound. So in French, there's the yu sound, but in English there isn't. So different from English and French, you want to sustain the pitch and make it more focused and tense. 语句. And now we're moving on to the Now this is the more uncommon simple final in Mandarin, and so the most common finals you get is a, o, yu, right? A, o, yu, and this is the uncommon one. So z, but I do want you to master this four uncommon one because it's gonna help you in when you move on to your initials and your compound finals, which is the combination of simple finals together. Make sure to bring your tongue forward. As in 靴. Repeat with me. And this sound is very similar to the as in black in English, right? So black or eyelashes, right? So 靴, and this sound only comes after yu and the yi sound. So it doesn't come alone, it always come in pair, and it always come with the yi or yu, after the yi or yu. And 第八个 right? 第八个 is z. And it only come after 滋呲丝. For example, 四次. So even though in the pinyin system, for 滋呲丝 and we kind of put the yi sound, but in actual fact, it's different from the yi sound, right? So it's z. 四次 z, c, s. So try to isolate the simple final from the initial. You get z, z, c, s, z. Repeat with me. Z, 四次 4 times. 第九个 日 as in 食指 index finger. So for now, again, don't worry about the tongue position and try to feel the sound, right? We're gonna get into the exact tongue position in the future and in the later classes, but right now, focus on feeling the sound. It's just the introduction, so don't worry about getting everything right. Just feel the sound, listen, repeat with me. 日食指食指 Again, this also only comes after the 知 ch sh r sound. So instead of ji, right, ji yi, instead of the yi sound, you always do the zhi sound, right? 食指食指 and the final simple final sound. So it's the r sound, r sound. Okay, so this is a little different because in actual fact it has two pronunciation. So when it's the numeric number 2, we start with the a as in r, while curling the tongue tip, right? R. So except for the numeric number r, other r sound, it's gonna start with the sound. So except for e r, san r, we're gonna sound like r as in r,耳朵, right? Ear, 耳朵, r. Now, I want to do an exercise because we completed the 10 simple final. We're going to do an exercise. I'm going to give you a few seconds for you to try to match this out. Now we got 10 simple finals and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mouth lip shape. So try to match it. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Okay, for the first one, it's gonna sound, so again, let's memorize the 10 vowels. It's gonna be a, o, i, u, ü, e, z, zh, r, right? So the first mouth is gonna be a, again, notice it's the largest mouth opening. And we got o, and and i, u, ü, and So remember this as the sound with a cap. So it's gonna sound and so for this sound, it's gonna, now we are moving into the uncommon one, right? So and we got the z. So again, z uses the same as the yi mouth lip shape. Z, but the tongue position are totally different. Again, we're gonna get into that in the later lessons, so don't worry about it. Try to feel the sound. Z. So naturally, the last sound is gonna be Z, right? 知吃诗日. Okay, now let's move on to tones. So Mandarin have 4 tones, and we call it 一声, 二声, 三声, and 四声. The first tone, second tone, third tone, and fourth tone. So what I want you to do with me is just repeat with me and get a feel of the Mandarin pronunciation of tones, right? So you do see a graph here. Don't worry about it for now. Try to repeat with me, feel what I'm trying to say, and yeah. So repeat with me. Ah, 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 ah. Again, maybe the first ah is a little mistake. Again, repeat with me. Ah, 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 ah. You go. O, 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 o. And e, and e, 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 u, 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 and finally, yu, 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 yu. Now let's move on to initial, alright? So standard Mandarin has 21 consonant sounds that can be used as initial, but here's something interesting. So Mandarin actually have 22 consonant sounds. The ng sound, like the sound at the end of and can appear only at the end of syllable, but right. So, but it can be used as an initial in a standard Mandarin. So that gives us 22 consonant sounds, but only 21 of them can function as initials. Now, most Mandarin syllables are built by combining an initial and a final, but not every syllable start with a consonant initial. For example, words like yang, right, don't start with a consonant initial. These are called zero initial syllables, and don't let the name confuse you. Even so-called zero initial syllables actually start with a certain consonant-like feature. So basically, that initial spot is there, it's just empty. We'll talk about more exactly what that means in a later class, and in the later lessons, right? So the key to getting Mandarin initial right is obstruction, right? Specifically, where is the airflow obstructed and how you let it out. So the key to getting Mandarin initial right is obstruction. So basically, whenever you're blocking or narrowing the airflow, that's the place of articulation, and the way you release that blockade, right, is the manner of articulation. So when you're working on initial, just ask yourself two things: where am I blocking the air, and how am I releasing it, right? That's really the key to pronouncing Mandarin initial clearly. So again, we're not gonna talk too much in depth into it. We're gonna get a feel. So the first group is bo, po, mo, bo, po, mo. Again, you can see the diagram here. We're using the lips, right? Bo, po, mo, as in ba, as in 8, pa, afraid, men, door, ba, pa, men. So the difference between bo and po is one is aspirated and the other is unaspirated, right? Non-aspiration, right? So think of bo as having no path of air and po as a stronger path of air. So if you were to isolate, so again, po, 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 bo, po, mo, we're using a supporting vowel o, but if we were to isolate it, it's gonna sound like p, m, p, m. So again, po, we don't have a path of air, and po, we have a very strong path of air, and mo, again, it's very clear you're using the nasal sound. So it's a nasal initial. Let's look at four. So four, again, we group into a category, and because we're using the teeth touching the lower bottom lips. So four, as in fei, 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 to fly. Fei, fei, fei. This is an easy one, so let's move on. We got de, te, ne, le, de, te, ne, le, as in di, earth, ting, listen, niu, cow, lan, blue, right? Di, ting, niu, lan. Okay, I want you to watch this video and kind of have a sense of where the obstruction is being formed here, the obstruction of the airflow, right? De, te, ne, le, right? De, te, ne, le, de, right? Is a tongue tip. Now let's move on to the next group. Ge, ke, he, ge, guo. Repeat with me. Guo, guo. Ke, kou, kou. He, hao, hao. Guo, kou, hao. Country, mouth, good. Ge, ke, he, k. Again, I want you to watch your video to get a sense of idea. Again, we're gonna specifically teach you how to use your lips and how to use your tongue in the future. Right. So the difference between he and ge, ke is he is a fricative sound, so you don't really, the back part of the tongue doesn't really touch the soft palate. So it's, you can feel it isn't touching your kind of soft palate, and ge, ke is kind of, you're touching it. Ji, qi, xi, right? And 这个是1、2、3、4第五组 right? The fifth group. So in Mandarin Chinese, for initial, we group them into 7 groups, 7个组 and this is the fifth, 第五组 ji, qi, xi. I know a lot of people having problem with the ji, qi, xi sound. For example, ji, repeat with me, ji, ji, qiu, qiu, xiao, xiao. Now, I just want to touch a little pointers to give you an idea of how to pronounce the ji, qi, xi sound. So, if you can see the diagram here, one. Number 2, think of this as the upper kind of upper gum ridge. So, if we were to put this into this diagram, it's gonna be somewhere around here. Right? So if you were to cast a shadow, right, it's gonna reflect, the shadow is gonna be here. Right? So I want you to use this area of work to do the work. So lift this part while keeping the tongue tip down, and you get ji, qi, xi, ji, qi, xi. Right? It's really easy. So again, don't complicate yourself. Just feel it. In the future, we're gonna teach you exactly how. 第6组 z c s z c s repeat with me z c s 早草色早草色 morning grass color right morning 早安早上好 right good morning 草草丛 bushes or 色泽 right but if you were to say the just one word normally we can understand right so 早草色 we understand your meaning morning grass and color z c s so this is what you want to do is your tongue tip gonna touch your bottom front teeth then you get the z c s sound and last group 第7组 we got the zh ch sh r zh ch sh r right again a lot of people having problem confusing ji qi xi and zhi chi shi r right especially for xi and shi for example 站 stand 车 car 手 hand 日 right day or sun we call it right so for this zhi chi shi sound think of here so number 3 it's gonna be around here right so think of your tongue tip lifting curling up to this part of the right so it's zhi chi shi r instead of ji qi xi right so these are really different sounds so a lot of people having problem differentiating the xi and shi but to the Chinese ears we can really hear the difference so make sure you try to get it right 站车手日 repeat with me again so we're gonna do the 机七西响机七西 and 知吃诗日 Again, a lot of people saying the r sound is the hardest sound in Chinese and let me explain isn't the hardest if you can make the sh sound you can make the r sound so the r and sh the difference between both of them is one is voice and one is unvoiced right so for the sh sound you're going to use the same tongue position sh and is just a voice so your vocal cords vibrate and you get the r sound again don't worry about it we're going to talk about the tongue position in the later lessons and now it's the interesting part we're going to do 调值训练调值训练 means tone value practice so we're going to focus on tone again now we have completed your simple final the standard tone and now initials and now we're going to combine everything together right so again 中国伟大中国伟大 right I'm not forcing you to say China is great but this is an example of the first tone second tone third tone and fourth tone combining together so 中国伟大 repeat with me 中国伟大山河美丽 Shan means mountains and 河 means river and 美丽 means beautiful or 漂亮 山河美丽 right we normally use 山河美丽山河美丽山河美丽 and the last one 非常 好记非常好记 Again, right now, we only learned the 10 simple finals, but we do see compound finals here. But don't worry about it, we're going to talk about it later on. I'm going to teach you, it's going to blow your mind. It's way easier than you think. For example, the O, A, right? It's really easy. You just have to master the 10 simple final, and it's basically you master all the sounds of Chinese. I'm going to show you later, but we're going to continue with your tone value training. And what this do is to build muscle memory, and especially in conversation, beginners tend to, or foreigners tend to change the tone, which isn't a good thing. So we want to kind of get used to how the Mandarin tone sound and don't change it, right? For example, in English, we tend to do reduction, we do the connected speech, we do a lot of things where the tone is as relaxed as possible, but in Chinese, try not to do that, right? Build a very strong foundation in your tone, and people can understand you easily. Now we're gonna do assignment, and this is in school, so it's a basic Mandarin 365. It's especially targeted for A1, A2. So your beginners and right. So it's A1, A2. Now all of this is in school, so you can check it out. So what I want to do is tone pair training. So again, as a tone value training, we are just pairing tone 1 and tone 1 combo. So again, repeat with me. We're gonna do it slowly. We're gonna try and get it right for the first time. So first, when you're getting this kind of assignment, first look at the tone. Is pair 1 and 1, so sustain the pitch, and do it individually. Do it word by word and then combine it together. For example, 今天应该公司开心出生星期飞机咖啡香蕉司机 Again, upload this BM3651 MP3 to school. And now we're going to look at tone pair 1 and 2, right? So 一声 and 二声 together, right? 中国英国家人经常今年公园非常空调安排生活 Again, all together. 中国英国家人经常今年公园非常空调安排生活 Again, once you get used to the 1-2 tone pair, it's kind of exactly the same for each sound. So it's right? It's gonna be sound like that. So make sure you get used to the first tone pairing with the second tone. And again, first tone pairing with the third tone. 多少多久开始英语机场身体方法800喝酒喝水 Right? Now, I'm gonna just skip through this. You can practice out yourself later. Again, 1 and 4th, right? 因为开会需要帮助方便希望周末说话猪肉工作 Okay, now we're going to talk about structural finals, right? So structural finals are finals that have a shape or structure that you can see and feel. So in this system, you're assigned a number corresponding to the size of the lip shape. So number 1 is the smallest. Yu. Number 6 is one of the largest. Right? So a number 6, 3 is gonna sound like I. Right? And 5, 3, 5, 2 is gonna sound like right? Right? Sorry, it's a sound. So So these are all the rest of the finals. You can see it's a combination of, we call it compound finals, a combination of a lot of sounds together. So 4 is the midway, so it's and 5 is as in 我 and 3n is yin, which is your yi plus n, yin, and your 3, 6, and G. 3, 6, and G is your yi, yang, right? So if you use the structure, your structure finals is gonna be easy. So whenever you see a lot of sounds, for example, I, E, I, E, A, right? O, and so on and so forth, right? Now again, I got a lot of time. Right now, my Mandarin is around HSK 6 or 7, and I got there about 2 years, and I didn't use some secret. So depending on by the time you're watching this, I might get to maybe HSK 8 and 9, right? So I didn't use some secret method, so I just keep finding the information I needed, applying and fixing problem one by one, right? So think of Mandarin like kind of like a whack-a-mole. You fix one problem and another pops up. So you fix that one and another appears, but every problem you solve means you're improving. So, right. And that's why I want to make things easier for you. I'm going to give you the roadmap, the lessons and the action you need to take. You don't have to figure everything out yourself, right? Your job is simple: pay attention, take note, repeat the material, do the exercises, stay consistent, right? If you do that, you absolutely can make serious progress, right? But forget about HSK 6, 7, 8, 9 for now. First, we're going to get you to HSK 1 and 2. right? And so I know it's been a long one, so we're gonna round this off, and we're gonna round it off with the quadrant. So there are only 4 things that it's going to matter in your Mandarin journey, right? There are only 4 things that matter in your journey, and if you ever catch yourself working anything but one of these 4 things, then you're wasting your time and doing the wrong things, right? Like, you're going to be tempted to do a lot of crap. If you're not doing something that is one of these 4 things, you're wasting your time. So for the first, it's gonna be getting the foundation right. So a solid foundation and a mindset, right? So the first is understanding the fundamentals of Mandarin. That means actually remembering what you learned in the lessons, like this one, and more importantly, applying it. As we move on through the course, you're going to keep building on these fundamentals, so you don't want to just watch the lesson and forget about it. So the other part is building a strong Mandarin foundation, and that includes your pronunciation, vocabulary, your listening, everyday Chinese, and grammar. And we're gonna break all those down in much more detail later. But for now, just understand that these are the core skills everything else is built on, right? And then there's the mindset side of it, which means you're working on a belief about learning Mandarin, right? I know some of this mindset thing might sound like a waste of time, like why does these have to do with learning Chinese, right? Why do I need this? But trust me on this one, don't skip the mindset stuff. It affects your how constantly your consistency on how you practice and how you deal with mistakes, and whether you actually stick with Mandarin long enough to get good at it. Right, and the second thing is community and useful content, right? You want to constantly engage with people who are also learning Mandarin, practicing Mandarin, and already speak it, right? And at the same time, you want to find useful Chinese content that actually matches your level, and not not content that are so easy you're learning nothing, and not content that's so difficult you understand 2 words and the rest of the time you're completely lost. So you want material that challenges you, but that you can still work on it, right? And so the third thing is practice and assignment, right? So this is where you actually use what you're learning. You should be practicing regularly, ideally every day or every other day, and actually doing the assignment instead of just watching lessons after lessons. So work on your speaking, train the sounds, repeat things, record yourself, practice the assignment, right? Try again, and more, and most importantly, ask for feedback. So use the community, ask questions, submit your work, let people point out what you're doing well and what you need to fix on. And use your coach as much as you can. So get feedback on your pronunciation, speaking, writing, whatever you're working on. And if you need more help, that might even mean booking one-on-one coaching call and stuff like that, right? So the goal is to constantly practice, get feedback, and make adjustments, and practice again, right? And finally, we have the real-life immersion. So again, your community and useful content is your digital immersion, right? This is what we consider the real life immersion. So under the real world Mandarin, right? The real life immersion, this is where all the work starts turning into real world Mandarin, right? That could eventually means moving to China, spending time there, making Chinese friends, handling everyday situation in Mandarin, and actually living part of your life through the language. So because at some point, Mandarin has to stop being something you only study, right? You want it to become something you actually use. So these are the 4 areas I want you to keep coming back to: solid foundation and mindset, right? And your community and useful content, and your practice assignment and feedback, and your real life immersion, which means eventually moving to China and making friends. And if what you're doing is helping you improve one of these 4 areas, you're probably in the right direction. So now we have this 4 quadrant here. Like in your learning journey, remember this. because you're going to be tempted to work on a lot of things that doesn't matter. If it's not foundation and mindset, or if it's not community useful content, if it's not practice assignment and feedback, or if it's not moving to China or making friends, it's a waste of time. So that concludes our chapter for chapter 1, unit 0. And I hope you enjoyed this video, right? So I'll see you in the next video.